Hello, and I am joined by an Everton fan with a few questions for him. Some on Everton, some to get his opinion on West Ham, and some to get his view on the game ahead on Sunday. But before I do that, I've got one important question. Who are you?
I am Matt Carlisle and I am part of the Toffee Blues Everton fan channel.
Well, Max, thank you for joining us. How's your season going so far? 4 games in, are you happy with what you're seeing?
I think we've got to be cautiously optimistic in the fact we've got to look at the position that we were in last season. Really, obviously, you'll know yourself the traumatic time that you go through when you've got Sam Allardyce as your manager and the scarring that leaves you with, and obviously with Marco Silva coming in and with Marcel Brands as well as director of football, they've rejuvenated the football club. There's an air of positivity that there hasn't been for quite some time. We haven't got off to a flying start by any means, but it's certainly a lot better than what we were seeing last season.
What's a good season for Everton this year?
Again, got to be realistic for me, mate. After the kind of, well, I know a lot of people say we pressed the panic button, and I tend to agree with that when we appointed Allardyce, because I don't think we were ever in any worries about going down last season. But for me, particularly because of how rocky last season was, I think you'd have to take a 7th place finish, particularly with how strong and financially powerful the top 6 are now.
And who's impressing you so far this season in Everton shirt? Who should we be keeping an eye out for on Sunday?
Well, I would say Richarlison, but obviously with him getting it with his suspension, it'll be a big miss. He's been a huge kind of he's been a massive influence. I had my doubts about him before he came in. Obviously, spending that much money on a player who hasn't really proved his worth, in that he hadn't particularly won any league titles or any individual accolades, but he's really impressed. But we've been hit by a lot of injuries, and we can't say for certain who we think we're going to start. But if you hopefully, fingers crossed, we'd see our wingers starting with Theo Walcott, and down the other side, I'm not sure who we go for down the other side because we're so plagued with injuries. But Theo Walcott's in some really good form at the minute, and I'm sure he'll play well.
Now we're just going to switch our attention to my team, West Ham. What's your thoughts on the Hammers so far this season?
This season, I've been quite surprised, really. Obviously, you kind of similar to Everton in that you've restarted from the start of the season. Obviously, appointing Pellegrini, which was a big statement of intent, and you got in several good quality first team players. And it hasn't seemed to work straight off the bat. Obviously, it's only early days, and to say that you'd finish bottom of the league, I don't think that's true. But obviously, it hasn't started off well. But I can see he's coming around and getting a few good performances together.
As you've mentioned, you went through this literally 12 months ago yourself with Ronald Koeman coming in, spending a load of money, lots of new players, trying to integrate a new system, etc. You sacked your manager, but what advice would you have for West Ham fans at this point in regards to the management?
Well, obviously, if you look at West Ham at the minute, I think it's in a completely different area to Everton. There's just complete unrest, it seems, at West Ham in terms of the attitudes towards the board as well, and that type of instability doesn't need to transfer over to the managerial front. You know, Pellegrini's proven that he's a fantastic manager, and I know obviously not the greatest of starts, but I think you've just got to stick with him, show a bit of longevity.
Which players do you fear on Sunday from our side of the pitch?
Felipe Anderson. I was a huge fan of his when he was at Lazio, and again, I haven't watched West Ham kind of with a telescope this season, but I think I'd be safe in saying none of the new signings have really delivered to hype. But after watching Felipe Anderson for Lazio over the last few years, I really thought he's a dangerous player that can kind of hurt you wherever he is on the pitch.
You've got lots of injuries on Sunday. Obviously, you've got loads of doubts, if you like, as we record this. There's lots of question marks over players. But are you optimistic on Sunday? Are you expecting 3 points from Goodison Park?
Well, particularly after the last game against Huddersfield, that Huddersfield set up to make it difficult for us, and we struggled. So I feel if West Ham do the same, then I could see another 1-1 draw, or maybe even West Ham getting a win, because they have won at Goodison Park over the last few years, and that might just be me being too cautious. But I think I'm going to go for a draw.
What do you fear the most from West Ham? How are you going to set up on Sunday, and how can we expose your weaknesses, if you like?
I think really it depends who we play at fullback. We had a lot of problems at fullback last season when Leighton Baines and Seamus Coleman were out injured. They've come back into the team, but they haven't exactly played to the standard that we're used to them playing at. I know there was talk of John Joe Kenny maybe coming in again at right back, and some may argue he's still quite inexperienced. Luca Digne seems really popular with Evertonians at the minute as a left back, but in the full back position, mate, really.
Fantastic. And you've indicated you're going to go for a draw, but can I push you and get a score prediction for Sunday, please?
I'll go for a 2-2.
If you want to hear more from Max and the Everton side of things on the build up to this fixture and, of course, after this fixture on Sunday, head over to their channel. Link is in the description below. So just have a little look, go over there, subscribe, and you can hear from those boys. But Max, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And good luck with the rest of the season, but not on Sunday.
You too. Thanks. Cheers.